Alright fellas, look like you guys enjoy a bit of turkey, don't you? 3-0 over Juventus. How about that? So now, we might actually get our way out of this group. So, just beat Al-Duhail, see what we can do against Boca Juniors, but as long as we beat the team from Qatar, we should be making the knockouts, boys. Let's go.
Party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 174 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you're doing well and come update the Club World Cup here in 2041. We play the last two games of our group against both Al-Duhail and Boca Juniors, but hopefully we can back up a big result from yesterday's episode. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We didn't just FM Juventus, we actually picked up quite a deserved win 3-0 over the European Giants in our first game at this tournament. Unfortunately, it did come at a cost there with injuries to both Prince Camalo and Diego Mazzi, which does mean that both those players will be missing for probably the remainder of this tournament. You can see the stats there. XG-wise, it probably should have been a bit of a closer scoreline, but 3-0 is a great result for us there, largely thanks to Jonas Otto putting in a clear man of the match performance for us there, our German left winger. But that is a great way for us to start things off here at this Club World Cup over in Turkey. And off the back of that result, you'd think we should be able to first up in today's episode get the job done over Al-Duhail from Qatar, who do look like the weakest team in this group outside of us. But obviously, if we can beat Juventus, we should beat these guys, especially off the back of a 5-1 loss to Boca Juniors, who will take on second up in today's episode. But I think before we come back for that one, we'll just do a bit of a look at how all the groups have finished in this Club World Cup and also see what might be going on going into that final match day in this group, because there has already been the first game in this group on match day 2 get played, and it has kind of thrown the kid amongst the pigeons. Juventus bouncing back from that loss to us with a 2-0 win over Boca Juniors. So unfortunately, it doesn't mean that we can lock our spot in the knockouts here with a win over Al-Duhail. If we do lose on that final match day and Juventus beat Al-Duhail by a big enough amount, there is a chance we could still not make our way through because of goal differential. But so far, we're on top of the group with a game in hand. So if we can pick up a decent win here over the team out of Qatar, we should put ourselves in a decent position and actually get a bit of a gap in terms of that goal differential over both Boca Juniors and definitely over Juventus. So you'd like to think if we can pick up a win here, it should pretty much put one foot in the door for us into the knockouts of this Club World Cup. As I said though, injuries are a factor. We're missing both Prince Camalo and Diego Mazzi, and also Jorge Rivera, Jamie Young and Walid Khalid all recovering from some recent injuries. So it does mean a little bit weaker than we'd like to be going into the second game at this Club World Cup. But still, big chance for us here to take control of the group. This arena that we're playing at, if you're wondering, same city as we were for yesterday's game, but it's another fake arena, so not really much point in doing a bus trip because we'll be staying at the exact same hotel. Hopefully we can make our way a bit deep in this competition, might actually get a real ground that we can do a bus trip to. But I think I'm going to get stuck into the action for this first game in today's episode, where we take on Al-Duhail and hopefully take a big step towards booking our spot in the knockouts. And here are the team sheets for our second game at this Club World Cup, a match that you'd probably expect us to win off the back of yesterday. To be fair, was actually expecting to win this one even before the tournament started. Now, Rivera comes back in at right back. That's a first choice addition, but unfortunately those injuries do mean that we've got Hausner at right wing and also Craig Johnston up front. To be fair, he's done quite well for us in the past in some big cup finals here at Kashmir Tech. There were Al-Duhail. They got smashed on the opening match day. Hopefully we can do something similar here and take a big step towards those knockouts. And we go just past the 10-minute mark for the first highlight of this game. It's a throw for us here inside of the final third. Clark plays that forward to Young. Good one-touch pass there to Otto, who plays it back to Jamie Young. Jonas Otto having a breakout tournament here is the former Bayern Munich man. He squares that one nicely for Jamie Young, and that is a brilliant start. First highlight, and we're in some form here currently at Kashmir Tech. Jamie Young will sweep that one home past there. I think that's Canario in goal there for Al-Duhail and gives us a nice early 1-0 lead. It'll be right off the back of that. The opposition here in the all red do get a highlight from the restart, but good work for us there. Down our right hand side, it was Hausner to win that ball back for us. Already looking like he's doing a bit better in his opening game for the club, which was against Petone in the Chatham Cup. He had a bit of a shocker. Now someone goes down there, Sousa for us, but no penalty. Al-Duhail try and cross that one, but good little cut out there from Rivera. And I think Corona takes on the shot, but that one goes just wide, but early stages on the front foot and 1-0 in front. And we go all the way forward just past the half-hour mark for the next highlight in this game, well and truly on the front foot, kind of like in yesterday's game, but this time even more so. Rivera plays that one in there. I think that was for Housen, a good save there from the goalkeeper from a tight angle, and Otto gets a good chance to get on the score sheet, but he puts that one just wide, so a double chance for us there. Can't quite grab a cushion goal, and really, based on stats, we should have, as we make our way to the last couple of minutes of this first half. You can see we've been completely all over the team here from Qatar, so hopefully can put this one to bed in the second half. Everyone out there is doing a good job at the moment, so I don't think any changes needed going into the second half. Maybe, if this goes well, might even be able to rotate in that Boca Juniors game. Could be a risk, but could also pay dividends in the second round, depending on who we face. But so far this is going well. Just need that extra goal to put this one to bed. It's currently only up 1-0.
Yeah.
And not the start that we were after here to the second half. It's another injury for us at this tournament. So a bit of an injury bug going around here currently at Kashmir Tech. This time Jamie Young. Finn Brown will come on for him to be fair. Very good backup. But there's now 3 injuries. And it could be quite a serious one as well at this Club World Cup. We're an hour in. Still though, 1-0 up in our second game. And we get a highlight with 20 minutes to go. The first one here of the second half, a corner. We try and put that one near post, but to be fair, no one home. But Hausner will get that one back for us. Plays in for Anderson. And now Corona for Clark, and back to Hosafa. Pick out Rivera there down our right-hand side. He tries to put a ball into the mix there, but takes a big deflection. And the goalkeeper there for Al-Duhail can claim that one. Takes his time, pumps it deep. Sousa wins in there. But then they briefly get it back there. Al-Duhail, and Sousa does quite well. Gus back on the ball. Johnston gets played in behind. That was a massive chance one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but skies it well high and wide. So that's not great there from our replacement striker. Might be missing Prince Camalo in this game compared to against Juventus in yesterday's episode, but thankfully high off the back of that, and we get the ball back rather quickly and get going down our left-hand side. Otto floats this one far post for Johnston. Big chance again that time. Gets a bit closer, but that one does come off the woodwork, and now I think it's a good time to make some subs with about 15 or so minutes left. We'll bring on Zajic for Hosafa going fairly, and also Thomas, because Johnston now has missed a couple of big chances. We do still have 2 more subs that we can make, but I think we'll leave those in case some players do get tired or injured late on in this game. Still searching for a cushion goal though, as it's 1-0. And pretty shortly off the back of those subs, got a free kick here, which Brown does take short, unfortunately. Not too well there, but thankfully Al-Duhail give that one away, and Sousa back on the ball, plays it forward to Otto, and it goes back to Sousa. And now Tim Anderson, can we do something after stuffing up there a short free kick routine, which usually does pay dividends in FM24. Clark, nice ball over the top there for Jonas Otto, who gets in behind. He's having a heck of a tournament, is our German left winger. And finally, we grab a cushion goal here in the second group game, and that should take us a long way towards our place in the knockouts of this tournament, because Juventus, of course, -1 goal differential. If we hold on to this 2-0 lead, we'll have a goal differential of 5, so even if we lose 1-0 to Boca Juniors, we could still top this group. So actually in a really strong position here at Kashmir Tech going into that final match day. We might take off here Jens Hausner with about 10 minutes left for Walid Khalid coming back from injury. Let's just get that match fitness up a little bit here, and hopefully that might get him right for a full game before we make our way into knockouts of this tournament. But that's a big goal there from Jonas Otto yet again to give us a 2-0 lead. And only a few minutes off the back of that second goal and sub, a free kick for us. There we go, far post. Rivera gets his header on the end of that one, just goes over the bar. Still at 2-0 Kashmir. And just sneaking away into the last couple of minutes of this game, just giving my voice through a bit of a break, because I do feel a little bit of a cold coming on, truth be told here. Trying to make sure that hopefully don't stress it out too much to actually get a video in tomorrow if we do make the knockouts. But there was a free kick there to Al-Duhail. We cut it out quite nicely, and Otto on the attack yet again plays it forward to Finn Brown. Nice little pullback there for Khalid and to Thomas, who takes on the shot. It actually gets tipped over there by Canario. I think that is in goal for Al-Duhail. Might have butchered his name earlier in this one, but a good chance there. He might have even been able to take an extra touch, but he went for the shot. It got tipped over. Off the back of that, nothing doing from the subsequent corner, but that is a good win for us in the second match. Actually, not as good a scoreline as we got against Juventus, so maybe these guys could give Juve some trouble on that final match day. But really, well and truly one-way traffic, but we pick up a 2-0 win. We'll absolutely take that at a Club World Cup. Hopefully, that injury to Jamie Young not too serious, but as you'll see shortly, that does put us in a very strong position to get out of this group on 6 points, free clear of both Boca Juniors and Juventus going into that final match day. So we back up that win over Juventus with a very dominant performance there over Al-Duhail, albeit the scoreline not quite so flattering, but still in a pretty good position in our group. Now we're off the back of that game, going to check in here on the injury to Jamie Young. Unfortunately, he's probably out for the tournament 3 to 4 weeks with some sprained ankle ligaments. So that is another big injury here at this tournament for us with Kashmir tickets. A bit of a shame. There's now 2 first choice players injured after doing quite well in previous games at this tournament, but also a bit of an update on the All Whites. Josh Pickering, one of the real stars of the save in terms of the All White side of things, he's retiring at the end of the season. So you've probably seen the last of him on camera, unless we for some reason show you guys the final of OFC World Cup qualifiers, which we shouldn't, because we should fresh Fiji over 2 legs. But Josh Pickering, 101 caps for the All Whites, 60 goals. Really, he's what Marco Rojas should have been, an actual Kiwi Messi here with the All Whites these days at Hoffenheim. He ends his career there off the back of stints at also Porto, Chicago Fire, Melbourne Victory, and of course he started off quite early at Auckland United. But Josh Pickering, really good player for us with the All Whites, unfortunately, going to retire just like Tyler Binden a year before the World Cup next year. So we are going to be missing a couple of real stalwarts for us so far in the save with the All Whites going into that World Cup. We'll go forward and come back before our final match day, update you guys on all the other groups and see what that situation is in ours going into our final game against Boca Juniors. And we've gone forward about 4 days and about to take on Boca Juniors here in our final match of Group H at this Club World Cup, with that goal differential being the tiebreaker, really in a strong position to make our way out as long as Boca Juniors don't beat us by too much and Juventus don't fresh Al-Duhail either. So hopefully those 2 things happen and we can top this group, because that should give us a kind draw going into the second round. We'll take on the teams from Group G in that second round and really want to finish on top of this group, because RB Leipzig, they have already qualified and probably will do so top of that group. The Mamelodi Sundowns would definitely be weaker opposition if they hold on to second spot, but even then, one of Penarol Vancouver would be a much easier opposition than RB Leipzig in the second round. So hopefully we can actually do decently here against Boca Juniors. If we lose 1-0 and Juventus don't do something silly against Al-Duhail, we'll still top the group. So hopefully that might be the worst case scenario that happens here on this final match day, and we can take on a much weaker team than what we got at the last World Cup in Barcelona, the defending champions. Before we get into this game, we'll also check in on how all the other groups did finish, seeing as we're on the final match day here of the group stages of this Club World Cup, being all the way down in Group H. There's Group A, PSG top it with a perfect record. A little bit surprisingly though, Fenerbahce go through over Palmeiras, so a bit of an upset there. One of the big teams from Brazil have been knocked out alongside Al-Hilal. Going down to Group B, topping this one, Arsenal and AC Milan just 1 point behind. Al-Ittihad and Raja Casablanca, they've been knocked out that group, probably going about as you'd expect. Down to Group C, this was topped by Flamengo. Barcelona also go through, but it's a second seed and only just over Porto. The same goal differential. Actually, Porto, I think they beat Barcelona. Indeed, that was the case. So I think the only reason there that Barcelona have gone through over Porto is because they scored more goals. So Porto there can feel a bit hard done by. Flamengo, though, do top that group because of that slightly superior goal differential. But hopefully that's not a situation that costs us in our group on that final match day. That could be what happens. Hopefully that won't be the case. Going down to Group D, and as you expect, Man City top this one with a perfect record. Wydad Casablanca, though, did beat their 2 other teams in Nacional and Charlotte FC to do go through as the second qualifier, going down to the bottom half of the draw where we are. Group E was topped by Real Salt Lake, which is a big surprise to be fair. MLS is one of the loaded leagues, considering that there's quite a few Kiwis over there in America, but they top it just above Bayern Munich because they scored more goals and ended up on the same points. Marseille, surprisingly, they miss out being a half-decent European team, and Supersport United, they finished bottom of that group, but a big upset there. Real Salt Lake topping it. That actually does mean that whoever becomes second in Group F might actually get a better draw than the team that tops that group, and that would be Chelsea. They'll have to take on Bayern Munich in the second round. Real Madrid, they'll get Real Salt Lake. So really Real Madrid there might have played some 3D chess. Good old Carlo Ancelotti, if he's still there to be fair in 2041. He probably isn't. No, it's Marco Rose instead, but still, that's pretty fortunate for Real Madrid off back of a 4-0 loss to Chelsea. So they got absolutely smoked there in the last game of that group, but they do still finish second, and River Plate and CF Pachuca, they get knocked out to be fair. That one was a little bit of a group of death. And also, you've just seen the last two groups before. As I said, we'll probably take on someone from this group, so really want to finish top so we can avoid RB Leipzig and take on a much weaker team and hopefully get a chance of making our way through to the quarterfinals. But with that situation, I think we should be okay here as long as we keep things close and going to rotate our team quite a bit and try and keep some players fresh for that second round just in case we need them, because some boys are very tight indeed on a heavy workload and also are sitting on yellow cards. We definitely want the likes of Corona and Otto available for the knockouts just in case we do take on some half-decent teams. So a bit of rotation going to this game, which I know is a bit of a risk considering we do want to finish on top, but we've got Debenham at right back, we've got Vinicius and Turner in defensive midfield. Hausner starts at right wing, still giving Carletta a bit of a rest. Brandon De Beer comes in for the injured Jamie Young up from our B team. Thankfully did register him for this competition. Here's what De Beer does look like. The South African might even get a crack against Mamelodi if we can pick up a half-decent result here against Boca Juniors and top our group. He's a player who came in prior to the start of the season. Hopefully can do a decent job. Alfonso comes in for Jonas Otto. As I said, really want him available for the knockouts. That yellow card's a little bit of a concern. Also, Andrew Thomas comes in for Craig Johnston on a heavy workload. So lots of changes going to this last game of our group. Hopefully Juventus don't overtake us and we can make our way through the knockouts, and hopefully we can keep this one close against Boca Juniors, who do look the biggest threats to us in terms of that goal differential. Of course, a very big team out of Argentina, and their key players, the only one that we can see seeing as the Argentinian league isn't loaded. So to be fair, just like yesterday, this could be a bit of a weaker Boca Juniors team than you might normally see in an FM7, and also based on form, we should probably be able to beat them because they lost to Juventus, who we bet 3-0, but Federico Franco is their key player. He looks pretty decent, but I think we've got some players here at Kashmir Tech these days who could rival him, but to be fair, he'll have a lot of potential still at 24 years old somehow. Does not have a cap for Argentina, which is a bit surprising, being the star player of Boca Juniors, but hopefully can pick up a half-decent result here or even just a 1-0 loss to make sure we top our group and get an easier opponent in the second round. And here are the team sheets for this last game of our group at the Club World Cup. There are Boca Juniors kind of surprisingly going with a good old English 4-4-2, not what you expect from a South American team. There's our team as we ran through before, lots of changes. So hopefully no silly suspensions going in the knockouts of this competition. Hopefully it doesn't backfire, because currently in a strong position to top this group. Even if we lose 1-0 to Boca Juniors, that would still be the case. So hopefully that's the worst that can happen, and Juventus don't beat Al-Duhail by too big a margin. Albeit early stages, this might be a very bad idea, our team selection for this game, because there's a very early highlight here to Boca Juniors in the blue with the yellow stripe. They played it one out there to Ponce, down their left-hand side, goes in there for Rizzo, but thankfully that ball goes just over that top left corner. But early stages, Boca Juniors, as you might expect, are on the front foot, and only a few minutes later, they have a free kick, and that one from Franco, their key player, does strike the top left corner post, but thankfully doesn't quite find its way into the back of the net. But early stages, Boca Juniors here on the front foot. De Beer there, able to put some pressure on a Boca player, but for the first time actually in the opposition half. Let's see if this gegenpress can get the job done and we can actually pinch a goal here against the Argentinians. Somehow Ponce there just teleports his way through one of our men. So Boca do keep that ball in early stages. They're well and truly on top of us here in our last game of the group stage, but hopefully not our last game at this tournament. Franco played that one back there to a defender. It goes forward to a striker who was onside, so a big chance there for them to take a 1-0 lead. Thankfully, not the case as Juventus take a 1-0 lead. So this early stages might not be going too well for us. And indeed, they grab a goal there through Marcus and De Beer. They deserve that one so far. Being all over us here have the Argentinians, and they are 1-0 up deservedly. So hopefully though, no more goals in that other game, and also no more goals in this one for Boca Juniors. It should still see us go through top of the group, and indeed that would be the case. So 1-0, not too bad for us. Hopefully doesn't get much worse, but early stages, not looking too good. And thankfully we've been able to hold the momentum a little bit off the back of that opening goal going forward here to the last 5 minutes or so of this first half. And actually a highlight for us here, a throw-in on the halfway line so far, doing quite well to keep hold of the ball. And Hausner will find Debenham down that right-hand side, back in for Hausner. Nice ball forward there for Alfonso, of course, formerly of Boca Juniors. Maybe that was a mistake. He was onside. It's a big chance like what happened before the goal down the other end, but this time we hit the woodwork really. To take that chance. Unfortunately, we float that one far post and Alfonso can't quite get his head to that one before the goalkeeper claims it. But that was a big chance for us there to draw level. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get the job done like Jonas Otto has been doing for us so far at this tournament from left wing. But that is still not too bad, and we actually worked our way into that game quite nicely late on in that first half. Hopefully that continues in the second. We'll take off Debenham on a 6.4, not for Rivera, want him fresh for the knockouts, which currently we'll be making, but we'll bring on Andy Roberts, who did a pretty good job in that opening game where we took on Juventus, and hopefully we can maybe make the most of that late momentum in the second half, grab a goal to make sure that we definitely go through to knockouts. But currently 1-0 down, we'll still be finishing top of the group. And big news only a few minutes into the second half, Al-Duhail have got an equaliser against Juventus. That definitely means we'd be going through the knockouts. If we can just hold this to 1-0, then we'd also stay above Boca Juniors. But currently, looking quite good for us at the very least to make our way through the second round of this tournament yet again, which in a group with Boca and Juventus would be pretty good. But unfortunately, a highlight there. And Turner quite poorly gives that ball back to Boca. Franco tries to get him behind there, but thankfully good work from Josafa. And we play that back to Cifuentes, but that's not a good clearance. Down our left-hand side, they get the ball back, and Ponce there does get in behind, but thankfully Cifuentes makes up for that poor clearance there with a good save. So still 1-0. That's okay for us, especially with a heavily rotated team, as there's the scoreline popping up. 1-1. There's the confirmation. We're definitely at the moment going through to the knockouts after 57 minutes, as we're 1-0 behind, but still that goal differential is in our favour. And now it's time for us to make a few more subs and players out there on a 6.4. Stera can come on at left back for Sousa. Also, let's take off Thomas for Craig Johnson. Unfortunately, he's not doing too well for us in today's game. And also Marcus Vinicius going a bit fairly on a 6.4. What we might be able to do here is pull Josafa forward to defensive midfielder and bring on Zajic at centre-back. So those will be the changes we make for half hour left. And hopefully can find an equaliser to absolutely make sure that we top this group. And just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game, the situation's still the same in both games. 1-0 to Boca here and 1-1 between Al-Duhail and Juventus. But we're going to take off here Hausner for Walid Kali yet again. That's our final sub. Hopefully that might give us a bit of edge late in this game. Stats-wise, it's actually quite an even game. So I think a draw would be a fair result. But really so far, that poor starts cost us, or we had a big chance there that we don't see that gets our XG above 1 and another one. But for some reason, not seeing any highlights, but thankfully, this is still okay, especially as it finishes 1-1 in that Al-Duhail Juventus game. So I think a little bit of a gamble there, resting quite a few of our first team players, might have paid off XG-wise. We get a little bit FM, but to be fair, we had a shocking start in that game, and Boca Juniors did make the most of it off the back of that. We did get going late in that first half. A big chance to Alfonso where he hit the woodwork. That was really our only big chance that we saw in this game. Boca Juniors before then were all over us, but that's not a terrible result. And because of goal differential, it does mean that we top our group. Boca Juniors, they go through also with 6 points, but Juventus, they get knocked out here off the back of that draw for Al-Duhail as well as that loss they suffered to us. So a big scalp there in this group. Juventus, they're going home early, but somehow we've topped a pretty tough group here at this Club World Cup. So we suffer our first defeat at this Club World Cup in 2041, but only 1-0 was pretty good considering the rotation that we did do, and it does mean that we just qualify on top of the group over Boca Juniors, of course helped out there by Al-Duhail getting a draw off of Juventus, but to be fair, they needed a pretty big win to catch both of us up on that goal differential. So I think that was a pretty good way to make our way through the group stage of this Club World Cup. Obviously, that big win over Juventus yesterday gave us a massive helping hand, as did beating Al-Duhail, which to be fair, most teams here did, apart from Juventus. So I suppose they can't complain about going home, but it does mean next round we'll take on the team that finished second in Group G. So that is a pretty big bonus of that result that we did just pick up. Boca Juniors will take on the team that finished top, which you'd imagine was RB Leipzig. Indeed, that was the case, but to be fair, only just off back of a final day draw against Penarol. But the Mamelodi Sundowns, they beat the Vancouver Whitecaps 2-0. They go through second in that group. You'd like to think if we can beat Juventus, we should be okay, taking on a team out of South Africa. So a good chance for us here, hopefully, to make our way through to the quarterfinals of a Club World Cup. For once, we'll come back to that in tomorrow's episode. We'll just check also if that game's going to get played at a real stadium. Unfortunately, it's the stadium that we've been at for our first game in this tournament. So we're still here at the same hotel, at the same venues. Don't think there'll be a bus trip, but a decent chance for us here to make our way through to the quarters of the Club World Cup. But that will do it for today's episode. We lose to Boca Juniors, but those prior 2 wins do mean we go through top of the group and get quite a nice draw in that second round. Also, quickly, let's bring up the other ties in that second round there. You can see them all as I'll wrap things up. But if you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until tomorrow, hopefully we can make our way through to the quarters of this Club World Cup with a win over the Mamelodi Sundowns out of South Africa. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.